folks, and welcome to part 2 of our Chestnuts Roasting on a Dumpster Fire special, A Very Garbage Theater Christmas. I'm your host Chase with my co-hosts Blake and John.
Ho ho ho.
And jingle jingle jangle.
There we go.
Oh, the merriment in this podcast so far.
Yes. Can you feel it?
Well, we watched a Christmas movie this week, unlike our first week with Ginger Dead Man, but
still just barely though.
Yeah, we watched Krampus Unleashed, and I have to ask, did this have to be a Krampus movie?
It could have been random demon movie, I guess.
It was a Bigfoot movie.
No,
I'm almost positive they initially intended it to be a Bigfoot movie.
And they said, "Oh shit! There's 1,000 Bigfoot movies. we got to pivot."
Yeah, or they had like a Bigfoot script or something, and then the Krampus, the real Krampus movie came out, and they were like, "Oh dang, we can capitalize on this somehow."
That's way more likely. Stick some horns on that son of a bitch, and we got a Krampus movie.
And I may be setting myself up for ridicule here, but in this movie, without getting too far ahead, there's some people that are actually hunting Bigfoot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there and I wondered, why do they have to make the Bigfoot hunters always seem like they're idiots? And I realized that I'm opening myself up there.
You answered your own question with that sentence.
But hold on. All those people that are usually hunting Bigfoot in these movies, there's usually something out there killing people in these movies. So they're not that far off.
Well, the weird thing is that they've been hunting Bigfoot since before anything started going down, apparently.
Yeah. Then stuff starts going down, and then, Bigfoot.
Maybe. You may have me on this movie. But in other movies... Specifically the ones that are about Bigfoot killing people and the people who are hunting Bigfoot are idiots. I'd say in that universe, they're actually the smart ones. Because they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
No, we can't fault you there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
On to Krampus now.
Yeah. On to Krampus Unleashed. I was discussing with Blake before we started recording a little bit. This movie, up until the end, I was very much, this isn't that bad.
No,
it's not good, but I mean, it's not the worst thing we've watched. I mean,
not at all.
The gore effects were satisfying. I mean, the kills were okay, but then the ending happened, and I was like, no, fuck you, movie.
You don't get to do that.
You don't get to do. No, this is not how you end this, asshole.
I'm just wanting to know how strong exactly is this Krampus demon, because it seemed like everybody was just made out of butter.
Yeah,
and he just swipe at people and limbs would go flying. Like there was no resistance to him whatsoever.
Yeah, he was like infinite strength.
So we'll get
to all that. Did you know that there's different sizes of infinity?
Okay.
Oh my god.
What? Just where are we going?
I'm just saying.
What road are we about to head down?
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I yes.
Okay.
God.
Just cut this whole part out.
No. All right. I'm sorry.
Krampus. We're starting with Krampus. And we're starting in 1898, when the Wild West was still the Wild West, and America was still America, damn it.
Did you know in 1898 there were only 1,000 banks in existence?
What's happening?
What is going on?
That's not true at all. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Baskin Robbins only had 3 flavors.
All right, I quit. I'm sorry. There was an opening there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We start in the Wild West, 1898.
This is literally the last place I expected a Krampus movie to start.
Yeah.
The Wild West.
Which was cool to me. I was like, oh, this is unexpected.
Yeah. more evidence to this was not a Krampus movie initially.
Yeah.
There's some title cards that talk about there's this German-born outlaw, and he's running out of time, and he buried his loot out in the desert somewhere, but he left behind a warning for anybody that might be coming looking for it. And sure enough, these fortune hunters are coming and looking. It's buried somewhere on a hilltop in Arizona, and we open up to Baldy McBeardy searching in the darkness, and I was confused as to, are we still in the Wild West, or did we jump forward?
I was confused too, and I thought it was just because I read 0 of those text cards. So, but now I know everybody that if you were confused too, I didn't miss anything.
Blake saw Wild West. He said, "Got it. Don't need to read any further."
That was it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it didn't. We got no indication of when. Yeah. This is supposed to be, and even more confusing was like the costumes and the props they were using, and the dialogue too.
At first,
they were using
Yeah. At first, I thought the guy was wearing like a reflective vest. I was like, well, clearly that's not Wild West, but they're using kerosene lanterns, and they've all got revolvers.
I didn't know if they were hipsters or Wild West people.
I wish that was the new trend in hipsterdom, is just like dressing like an old cowboy.
I mean, it was pretty close.
Instead of typewriters, it's kerosene lanterns.
Yeah.
He's searching out in the darkness. A couple more cowboys emerge, and they're all complaining, "Oh, this German, he's leading us to nothing." And they come across 3 more men that are digging, and it's the German guy, and there's an Indian, and there's another guy. And they're all out looking for this loot. And while they're digging, there's nothing in this hole, and we've been out here all night, and some fussing and a feuding breaks out. Until
an old-fashioned Donnybrook breaks out.
Yeah. Until finally they do find something. They strike something down there. They pull out a small box that's chained shut. I was worried they were going to open it and there would be a smaller box inside with what's definitely not a crocodile heart inside of it. But
what bothered me most about this particular part is like as soon as they hit something, the next shot they like cut and show what's in the hole, and it's a completely dug out box. Instead, they'd already cleared it all out.
What bothered me was the pristine condition of the chains and box.
Yeah, they've been chilling underground for an undetermined amount of time.
They could have been down there for a month. We don't know.
We don't know when this is.
We're still in the Wild West.
Oh, never mind.
So they take it out.
We're not. But we don't find that out till later.
We're not, but time. Yeah, they throw you for a loop at the end of this thing. So they open it up. It's just filled with some rags. But within those rags is a big black rock. And the German guy says, "Ooh, it's an evil summoning stone. I've seen those before. It's an ancient type of coal that was used to curse those who angered the old gods, and Saint Nicholas used to use it." And so they get in a big fight about Santa Claus, and while they're scuffling, they drop the rock, they drop the kerosene lamp, which falls on it and lights it on fire, and all these runes light up on it. Ooh!
It's suddenly the One Ring now.
Yeah.
So the German gets all freaked out. "Oh, you've awakened the Krampus now." And then they hear a growl in the distance. And I mean, it takes no time for that Krampus to find them. The men scatter out into the desert. Krampus appears, punches old Beardy in the stomach, and rips out his intestines. Again, like his intestines were already on the outside. Takes nothing. Then one of the other men pulls his revolver, fires one bullet at the Krampus, and then needs to reload his revolver.
Yes.
Immediately.
He's like Barney Fife. He keeps that one bullet in his pocket.
He wishes now that he hadn't been shooting at squirrels the whole way out.
What he needed was that magic fucking revolver from Ginger Dead Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the real one to have. As he's fumbling around trying to reload the gun, Krampus knocks him down and smashes his head. And when I say smashes his head, Krampus swats at his head, the camera cuts, then his head's gone.
Yeah.
And there's just a splatter of blood on the ground. There's a lot of kills in this that happen at lightning speed. And if you blink, you miss the whole kill.
There's a lot of stuff that happened at lightning speed that I was just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, there's some rapid cuts in this movie for sure.
There's also a lot of cuts like mid sound effect.
Oh, for sure.
So like the Krampus is roaring, so it's like cut. Like it doesn't finish its. Maybe he was trying to say something.
I think the biggest problem with this movie, apart from like the story and everything, is the sound editing.
Yeah.
Like that makes it.
It seems like everything was done in camera. Nothing was done post. So if there was a cut, the sound cut.
No, they definitely use sound effects though that they cut in. But I don't know. I think a lot of these low budget movies just really neglect the sound.
Yeah.
They think if they can get the violence on the screen, they'll be fine. But
there was
sound goes a long way.
Yeah, there were several scenes where you can hear the one boom mic that they had going over person to person to person. Because one person will be talking and it'll be clear, and then the next person will start talking and it's muffled until the boom mic finally gets over them, and then they clear up.
Also, I watched this movie on my phone. And
I watched part of it on my phone too.
So like half of it was like very like grainy, and I was thinking, boy, this thing has terrible quality. And like 20 minutes into the movie, it just all of a sudden got real clear, and I was like, holy shit, I probably missed a lot.
Yeah, I mean the film quality wasn't bad.
Well, I thought it just was at first, and then I realized, but I wasn't going back.
Yeah, it was fairly sharp. There wasn't a whole lot of focus issues as there were.
Once it got there for me, I guess once it loaded up, it was fine. But
yeah. Don't watch the movies on your phones anymore, gentlemen.
Sorry.
Don't tell me what to do.
I was going to say, if I knew I was going to get a lecture, I wouldn't have said anything.
Take this shit seriously.
No.
Watching a movie called Krampus Unleashed.
So after he kills that guy, he grabs the German guy by the throat and rips it out, kills him. Another man flees, stops to get a quick sip from the stream like you do when you're being pursued by...
what was up with that?
A demon, yeah.
He's got the stone. He took the stone with him. It starts glowing, so he knows Krampus is near. He turns around. Krampus attack. Reaches into his chest and pulls out his heart like it was nothing. Stone falls into the river. Krampus Unleashed title card. Yay.
Was anybody else pissed off that the heart didn't beat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lame. Everyone knows that it has to beat at least once.
Exactly. What's the point of ripping out a heart if you're not going to show it beat?
Or at least wait till the second half of the movie to have the heartbeat.
I guess.
Man, this entire intro scene, there's so much stuff already going on that's totally pointless. Like, all of the title cards, they could have done all of that in dialogue instead of having title cards, because there was like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
This story just kept going and going about this guy, but none of it ever matters.
No, because this guy's long dead after we come back to this. And even then, when you hear the cowboys all talking amongst themselves, they're talking about yet another expedition that went out to find this guy's treasure. So this is the second attempt at finding this thing.
So basically, it's the Curse of Oak Island.
Oh, gee. We're not going to unleash that.
There's definitely nothing on that island.
Oh my god. But then there's like a German guy. Like, what's it matter that there was a German guy?
Well, it's confusing because the title cards are talking about the initial guy was a German outlaw.
Yeah. So why? Just because this dude's German, he's got special insight into where he buried his treasure?
Yeah, he can sniff out where another German's been. Like,
it was so it was only so somebody could say Klaus instead of Claus.
Yes.
That's all it was.
Klaus.
Yeah. The Klaus.
Yeah.
The Klaus.
Yeah. Anyway, that's finally done. And then a jazzy rendition of Let It Snow starts playing.
Who sung that shit?
Seriously.
I don't know, but they paid for it, and they're going to play the whole fucking song.
Because I went to try to look in the credits, and it was not mentioned.
No.
I watched the credits like 4 times.
I thought I missed it somehow. I was like, maybe these fuckers didn't know what part to put it in.
What I did see in the credits was additional music by Pond 5.
Yeah.
Pond 5 is where you go to buy license-free music.
Well,
yeah.
Whoever
you also
sung that, though, like, look, I cannot sing worth a lick, like, at all. And it sounded like me singing. There was nothing
really
on
off key.
Yeah.
The instrumental was fine, but the singing was terrible.
Yeah.
Why would you use that? Why would you use that?
Because they found a copyright-free instrumental and then just had The Grip sing over it. Hey, we've got a song now.
It was the boom mic guy from The Stand started singing.
But then you also can't have a credit that says additional music when you never had music credit in the first place.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's like showing up and out of nowhere being like, and in addition, like, what are you talking about?
So after this song plays out, we see a family of 4 driving down the highway. This is Will, the father, Amber, the mother, Tommy, the son, and Fiona, the daughter. And they're all driving out to Grandma and Grandpa's because it's been forever since they've seen Grandma and Grandpa. And the son's just, he's not happy because it just doesn't feel like Christmas out here in the desert.
He immediately started reminding me of a little shit from Field Freak.
The little wiener kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all these families that we're about to be introduced to could give a flying shit about each other. Like, big time.
I'm holding off until the next family.
Well, we'll get to them. Tommy expresses how much that he hates his cousin Troy, who's going to be there, because Troy's both an asshole and a creep, because he was apparently peeping on Fiona while she was changing last time they were there. Let's point out that Fiona is his cousin.
Yeah.
Let's just
they call that the subtle Weinstein.
So Amber, the mother, says, well, maybe Troy's grown up. It's been a while since we've seen him. So they arrive at Grandma and Grandpa's.
Which made me think, okay, they haven't seen their grandparents since Tommy was a baby, because he said he doesn't even remember them.
Yeah. So
their cousin Troy is only a couple years older than Tommy. So what was he, like 3, peeping in on Fiona?
Yeah, when Fiona was what, 6?
Yeah, if that.
Don't think too much into these things.
Well, I think Troy got a bum rap. But then again, he was a pretty big douche, so never mind.
They arrive at Grandma and Grandpa's. The one thing that struck me was that when Fiona gets out, she's wearing a hashtag sweater, indicating that she is indeed a teenager.
And when he says hashtag sweater, he doesn't mean hashtag followed by something witty.
It's just a pound sign.
Yeah.
Just a big old pound sign.
Grandpa Dale comes out, and he's going to help everybody in with the bags. So they all go inside, and Tommy's in there, and he's staring at this wall, and on the wall there's taxidermy. And one of the taxidermy things
I don't even know if you call it taxidermy, because all of it was plastic.
Yeah, it's a cougar. And so it's a plastic, maybe ceramic cougar head. And he's just staring at it. And then Dale comes in, the grandpa, and starts telling this yarn about Blackfoot, the cougar, about how it got a taste for man and it was a real man eater, but I tracked that son of a bitch down. It's plastic.
Yeah, you're full of shit, Grandpa.
Like, do you think that was the point?
But then there's a picture. But then there's a picture of Grandpa holding the corpse of the actual cougar. Did he forget the taxidermy? He's like, oh shit, I should have taxidermied that son of a bitch.
Yeah, and then
this looks like him.
He commissioned a sculpture of it.
Well, I already got these other fake animals on my wall. It look weird just to have a real fucking cougar. So I'll just get his likeness made out of plastic.
Yeah. So he goes on. He tells the story about him hunting down the cougar and whatnot.
This is a significant scene, too. Like, they spend time on this story.
They spend a lot of time on several scenes coming up that I'm not sure why they did.
I was a little pissed that in the picture with the cougar, the real cougar in it, none of its feet were black. So why is this cougar called Blackfoot?
Who knows how these cougars get their nicknames? Maybe you walk through mud one day and the other cougars were like, hey, look, it's old Blackfoot.
Yeah, and there you go.
Yeah, that was its given name. That was its Christian name.
There we go.
So we cut to the Rock House grocery store, and there was a barking dog. And I said, the son of a bitch movie. That better be the last I hear of that goddamn dog.
That dog moved out west.
Yeah, he did.
The dog is immortal.
After they sold the old place.
So the clerk welcomes in Raj. And Raj is the local kook who is one of the Bigfoot hunters. He comes in and he's talking about, he's getting close. He's on the trail, and some random woman comes in and berates him about it all being nonsense and that he's drunk. And that's the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Then now, okay, here you go, Blake. Now we cut to Troy's family arriving.
This fucking family.
Yeah, what a mess.
So they're running out of gas, but David, the father, he's very proud because of how far that they made it in his his hybrid vehicle, because he's very conscious about his carbon footprint. David is a piece of work. Let's just put it that way.
He's something else.
He's everything I hate about humanity.
More layers to him are going to unravel as we go.
He cares more about the carbon footprint than he does his family.
Yes, absolutely. No arguments. So they arrive. They're out of gas. David goes in. They're cash-only operation. All he has is plastic. So, well, do you have an ATM? Yeah, but that don't work. Okay. Well, can we use your bathroom? Well, that don't work either. Well, shit. I guess this scene didn't need to happen, did it, Guy?
No, it
Not
didn't.
Especially. Well, they just needed... I guess they just needed time to hang around this gas station longer.
Yeah, we needed to introduce the Bigfoot hunting rednecks who are hanging around out back, discussing the Bigfoot print that just happens to be right there behind the grocery store.
Yeah.
Sasquatch gotta eat, man.
So while they're looking at that, Troy's back there pissing against the back of the building, and Troy comes up and he starts asking them about what they're talking about, and they explain to him they're hunting Sasquatch, and this happens to be a print right here, and Troy's like, you guys are full of shit. And he's like, hey, don't you watch the History Channel? Shots fired at the History Channel.
Yeah. He got him good.
So they head out after Troy pulls out his camera and he's filming the two rednecks with. If I pulled over at some backwoods gas station and started, insulting two rednecks about their life's work, I wouldn't be so brazen about, just how much. I mean, you're going to get shot. You're going to get shot, Troy.
You're at least going to get your ass whipped.
Yes.
At least. This kid's got no fear for some reason.
No,
and that's what. And then like when his dad's calling him back, like right then he pulls up in the little fucking Prius, and he's just like, "Troy, get in the car." Not and like you see two grown men in your son's face, and you're just gonna yell from the car.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, if I was David,
this guy
I'd be like, I think he could use a little ass whooping.
Well, you know what? You're right. He's probably
what's
hoping
best
for
him. Yeah.
So
well, you missed the scene too where he came out asking his wife for money.
Yeah,
He just like snatches her purse and starts digging through it.
Oh yeah,
What a scumbag!
And then he complains about the tidiness of the purse.
Yeah,
This thing's a
worst.
mess.
he's an asshole.
Wait, there was another part where she's like, she's all creeped out because some weirdo is just looking at her. And he's like, shut up, baby, that just means you still got it. Like, Jesus Christ. Do something.
Do something. Oh, man.
So after the encounters at the gas station, Troy and his family finally arrive at Grandma's. And David starts calling out the other family's vehicle because it's an SUV. And he's like, oh, I hope they didn't drive that all the way from Atlanta. Somebody doesn't care about their carbon footprint. Fucking David.
Right then, like, look, you want to reduce your carbon footprint? Cool. No problem. Don't give other people shit about it.
Yeah. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
He is literally that guy in every situation.
Any situation possible, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you now, that there's people in my life that say, hey, why don't you do this? And right then, I vow to never do that for the rest of my life. Like, hey, don't you think maybe you should throw that can in the recycling bin? Well, fuck that. That's never going to happen again.
I'll show you.
Yeah. So this guy, I hope you didn't drive that all the way to Atlanta. Well, now I am, and I'm actually going to pass it on up and go to South Carolina, then come back. Just for shits and giggles, asshole.
And also, Troy thinks family is lame.
Good Lord. This is the most, like, over-the-top, shitty kid I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's pretty bad.
So everyone's in the kitchen. Troy's an asshole. He really is creepily just wanting to get close to his cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. With no remorse.
They're standing there outside of the car while they're all making introductions, and he's holding his phone like down by her ass filming it. And like out in the open in front of everybody.
Yeah, he doesn't care that his family knows that he's interested in
that
his
he's
cousin.
creeping on his cousin.
Yeah. Real weird.
So while they're all inside, David
her sweater actually says #kissing cousins.
So back inside, David shifts and he needs to start being a douchebag about both the absurdity of Christmas and hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look at this wall of
commercialism.
Death.
The commercialism of Christmas and being in this, oh, you have a lovely room of death.
Yeah. It's not even that impressive of a room of death.
First off, it's not a room of death.
It's
all fucking plastic. And secondly, even if it was a room of death, if it was real things, who gives a shit?
David does, and he needs you to know about it.
It's so weird. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know who wrote this character. Like, I mean, I've never met a liberal like this before, personally.
All they needed was for them to go ahead and do a dinner scene where he complains about there not being any vegan options.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the most aggressive
It'd be the trifecta of...
Now, I will say this. Maybe it's just me growing up in South Louisiana, but there's not many homes that you go into that doesn't have some sort of mounted death on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happens. Like, most people are responsible. They eat all the stuff they kill. Like, so who cares? But we're not going to get into that debate. What I do want to say, though, as far as weird shit on the wall, and I know this is kind of sidetracking, but I don't give a shit because it is hilarious. In the little town I grew up in, Buras, Louisiana, I went to somebody's house because we were borrowing a trailer to go for like homecoming parade thing to build like a float. Anyway, went into this dude's house, and he had a bunch of dead animals on the wall. Cool, no problem. But then he had a bunch of pictures, and it looked like there was a hierarchy of pictures. He had two big 8x10s and then smaller pictures going down. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The two big 8x10s, one of them was a picture of Jesus, and the other one was a picture of John Wayne. And I stared at that, and I was like, could he not decide which one was greater? Or is he saying John Wayne is Jesus? Or it just
John Wayne's
me.
Worthy of the same dimension frame as Jesus.
Yeah. So that happened. Look, I was 17 years old when that happened, and I think about that constantly.
Was it like a descending fantasy family tree if John Wayne and Jesus procreated?
Well, no, it was weird. It was like all pictures of his like his own family underneath
Reagan is right underneath him.
It was all his own family.
So he's saying he's descended from John Wayne and Jesus.
I guess. What would that be? What would John Weezus? John Weezus. Joesus.
Oh, I say again. I know that's again. Where are we going? Right.
I'm just saying. There's people put weird shit on their walls, but
so just a little trip down memory lane.
When I was in that man's house, I didn't say, "Hey, it's a nice wall of blasphemy you got up there." It was just, "Oh, dude, it's your house. Do what the fuck you want."
Yeah, because if you would have said that, you'd have been mounted up there right between John Wayne and Jesus.
Maybe that's why John hasn't heard a liberal like that before, because they all get their asses whipped.
I'm just like, I don't know. This to me was more like a college frat boy douchebag, but then like he had uber liberal politics.
Yeah,
which is just something I don't know. Never really encountered that before.
He's the genesis of PC principle. Now, okay, I'm sorry we went down that little road, but I just had that is something I think about like at least once a week since it happened.
Oh, anyway,
sorry.
They then discuss a chunk of gold that's sitting on the counter. And by chunk of gold, I mean like it's a golf ball sized solid chunk of gold. And then David gets a wild hair up his ass to take the kids panning for gold. Why not? And but Will, he's just not up for this 5-minute walk down to the stream.
Yeah, he's really fighting that.
Yeah. So from there, we cut to the sheriff's station, and we're introduced to Fran, the dispatch woman. And she's upset that she's stuck there on Christmas Eve. But don't worry, deputy? I don't know who, officer? Just say officer, because I'm not sure.
I think he's a state policeman, but I don't know.
He's a state trooper?
Yeah.
He's a state trooper. He's got 2 bars on his thing, so what is that, a sergeant? But they don't really call him, I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah. The only cop in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, there's one other, but
yeah, there's one other, but he's not till the end. Dan Schilling is his name, and he's talking to Fran, saying, "Well, at least I'm here to keep you company on the radio." And he goes on to talk about how his girlfriend finally moved out, and and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that." And he goes, "Well, you didn't have to live with her." And then they do a fist bump. Boom! I hear that. Natural dialogue.
I found her to be delightful, by the way.
Yeah, she was all right.
Yeah,
like she just
pointless.
Didn't give a shit. Yeah, you're right. She had no reason being in the movie, But, she's pretty cool.
She was, I want to say maybe her standards of taking 911 calls might not be up there, considering that she was ready to write it off immediately.
Yeah.
But then all the law enforcement in this movie isn't quite up to par.
Yeah.
So we cut from that little back and forth to Will, David, and Tommy and Troy all going out into the woods. And David shows Tommy how to pan and gets very frustrated that Tommy doesn't get it on his very first try.
Yeah.
He starts swirling around. He spills some of it out. Be careful, you
Pack it in,
idiots.
loser. We're going back to the house.
We'll never be rich now.
So Troy sneaks off to smoke a cigarette, and David can smell it, so he stomps off after him. And then some random woman manifests out of nowhere in the woods to give them a lesson on panning for gold. And she introduces herself as Bonnie. And Troy comes in, and he's creepy to her, too, so she leaves, as she should.
What's very strange about this part was as soon as she showed up, I guess I channeled John for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. I literally said, oh, she's going to show her boobs at some point in this movie. Sure enough.
I like how when you started that and you said, I channeled John for a second. John's like, okay, yeah.
Let's get this one
Let's get it over with.
But no, like I saw her and just the way they had her dressed, I was like, yeah, she's coming out of those clothes.
I'm a little surprised actually at how little nudity we see in these movies.
I was surprised there was any in this movie, honestly, going into it.
I mean, we got through Swamp Ape and Zombie Croc, no nudity. There's a bunch of stuff that...
Swamp Ape.
Swamp Ape had Swamp Ape nudity.
That was bad enough.
It's reptile versus erectile.
But really, like, all these movies have to sell themselves, and the reason they're always, this lowest common denominator, like, gore and boobs stuff, like, you're right. I mean, that's what they do. That's how they sell.
Exactly.
But none of these movies have any nudity or gore sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they're rated so low.
Well, in the case of like avalanche sharks.
Well, to have nudity, you have to get a woman to agree to do it in the first place. And the standard of movie that we're talking about here.
I was about to say, according to the news, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Anyway, after she heads out, and then Tommy finds the summoning stone in the water, where it fell out from where the prospectors were killed. So he picks it up. He wants to keep it. Troy's a general asshole about it. Moving on. Mm-hmm. That night, we're at Bonnie's house. She's making dinner, and Dan the cop shows up. And she's not happy to see him, so we can put two and two together that this is his ex that just left him. So,
well, I'm not so sure. Because I'm saying, like, he was talking about how, that she didn't have to live with her or whatever. So,
yeah. It
sounded like she was a problem for him. But he clearly is still interested in her. So, I don't know. I'm wondering if it wasn't like a different girl altogether that had just left.
Oh, and but Bonnie just happens to also be one of his exes?
Yeah.
I think, I think that, yes, that was the ex, but I'm with John. If that is the case, they executed that very, very poorly.
Yeah.
As with most things.
Yeah.
So, he goes on to tell her that, her new man had better watch out because he's got a real lead foot.
I love that he comes around, like, warning her about her new Bose record, and all it is like,
he speeds. Well, not only is speeding, he didn't pay his tickets for speeding.
Oh, geez, he's a total deadbeat.
This guy's dangerous.
Oh my god, he's like Fonzie.
Fonzie.
So Bonnie tells Dan, hit the road. I don't want anything to do with you. Cut back to Troy and Tommy. Tommy's sitting outside with the summoning stone, and Troy's out there smoking badly. He's trying to be this badass that sneaks around and smokes, but he's hacking up a lung while he's doing it. He takes the rock from Tommy because it's the asshole thing to do, and Tommy runs inside. Little wiener kid that he is.
Yeah.
Troy's mom comes out, and he quickly throws the stone and the cigarette down so she doesn't see. He tells him to come inside because Dad needs help with the goddamn laptop. So Troy goes in, but his cigarette just comes a little too close to the summoning stone, and the runes light up. Krampus!
Oh.
So
where does he come from? Does he come from the stone?
He just appears.
Like randomly? He just spawns like fucking Counter-Strike?
Yeah, it comes out of... That's how you come in from the bowels of hell.
Alright.
Yeah. It's just real quick. There he is. So we cut back to Bonnie's house, and there's some random guy watching her through her window undress. It's a random dude.
Mm-hmm.
She sneaks out of the house and surprises him with a shotgun and pins him against the wall. And then it's revealed that this is her new boyfriend. And this is some kind of weird, twisted sexual game that they play. With loaded weapons.
Yeah. Catch the peeper.
So they go inside, and the oven timer goes off, and she stops me. No, dinner before sex. You know the rules.
Oh.
I like a belly full of goat meat before you writhe around on top of it.
So we cut from that to the cast of Bigfoot hunters coming out of their trailer, and they're out there discussing going out hunting for Bigfoot. They hear a growl in the distance. This is Raj, and Terry is his friend.
Mm-hmm.
They load up and head out. By load up, I mean they get a .50 caliber rifle that they don't use.
They call it a .50 caliber rifle. This is an airsoft gun,
but they don't use it.
No, they actually shoot it once. However, they cared not to put in a sound effect of a gunshot. It's just the kerplunk of an airsoft rifle.
They head out, and before they head out, Raj has to quote Darwin to explain his reasons for wanting to kill the Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another part where I was like, do we need to spend this much time setting these two up as Bigfoot hunting wackos?
Well, they wanted you to endear yourself to these characters before they get killed.
Mission failed.
Like, poor Terry, he's questioning the morals of killing the last of a kind.
These two lovable idiots are about to meet their demise. Let's learn something about them.
Oh my god.
Listen, Chase, basically every single character in this movie is padding.
Yeah.
Even the families. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I was surprised that, how they start just whacking off the family members left and right.
We must watch a different movie, because that's not what I saw.
The two finally head out. We cut back to Bonnie's. They're getting in the hot tub, getting, nice and vulnerable for an animal attack. Back at Grandma's, Dale, the grandpa, and Will, the dad of Tommy, are chugging down moonshine, getting sloshed. And by moonshine, I mean water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amber, the mom, and Fiona are in the bedroom, complaining about no cell signal. And then Troy comes in and sees, ooh, they're in the bedroom folding clothes. I better get a video of this.
And not to like defend videotaping girls or anything, but it wasn't like anybody was like not clothed or anything. They're like wearing their footy pajamas.
That makes it weirder somehow.
Maybe. Yeah.
His kink is just fully clothed like pajamas.
And again, he's standing wide out. He's standing in the doorway, just filming them.
Yeah, with that stupid laugh.
Yeah, and so they see him and they're like, Troy, what the fuck? And he's like, and he just walks off. No repercussions at all. So he goes to the bedroom where he's sleeping in the room with Tommy. Tommy's sitting there with his rock, pouting,
just chilling with his rock. His only friend.
Tommy calls Troy out on his grossness about, you know Fiona's your cousin, right? He's like, well, it's legal in some states. Gross.
Well, he has a point.
But I think we can all agree that legal and the right aren't the same.
Yeah, that's not the same at all.
This is true.
And so we cut from that disgustingness back to the Bigfoot hunters. Raj sees something scuttle around in the distance, and there's that kerplunk shot that was definitely not a .50 caliber rifle.
No.
And he shoots a rat?
I think it was a rabbit. I think it was a rabbit. Yeah. But of course, if he'd hit a rabbit with a .50 cal,
it would have been liquefied.
They would not have been able to identify it.
My peeve with the gun, first off, they said it was a .50 cal, which it's not. It's an airsoft version of like an AR-15.
Okay, well, right then and there, he's using an airsoft AR-15. Yeah. But earlier, when he says this is a .50 cal, it's a wooden stocked rifle.
Yeah, it's a rifle.
Which is why I said they don't even take that with them.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it's two different guns.
He says, hey, I got this .50 cal. Let's leave it here.
There's nobody on God's green earth that gets an AR-15 and puts 0 sights on it.
Yeah, there was nothing on the thing.
It was just a blank rail on this thing.
He's going to hip fire.
So that was my peeve. I was like, doesn't even have like the stock iron sights on it or anything. It's just nothing. I'm just going to stare down the rail, and I glued a BB at the end of the fucking muzzle.
Yeah, well, those are all the parts are on layaway. He only had enough for the main bulk of the rifle.
Yeah.
With what he makes sweeping up down at the gas station.
Well, we know he ain't fixing shit because everything's broken in there.
After Terry gives him some good-natured ribbing for about 30 minutes, they hear some more roaring in the distance, and then Krampus shows up behind them and knocks their head together like the 3 goddamn Stooges.
Yep.
And that's a kill. A double kill.
That was so disappointing to me.
It was.
We'd already seen, gorier kills than that.
Yeah.
And then just knock a couple heads together.
And he knocks their heads together, and before you could even put together what's happening, it hard cuts back to Bonnie and her boyfriend in the hot tub. Mm-hmm. Like super fast cut.
Yeah, well, the editing is trash.
Back to Bonnie and her boyfriend, James is his name, and they're done with their hot tub sexy time. And Bonnie goes inside for a second and leaves James out there.
Don't they know not to have sex in hot tubs, man? It's full of disease.
Yeah, then he just stays there stewing in his, as Jerry would say, his human bacteria frap.
Yeah.
So, while Bonnie's inside, James hears something, and he gets up and starts investigating. Bonnie hears a muffled roar from inside. She comes out looking for James and discovers the Krampus eating his torn in half body, which looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The effect was pretty good. It was decent.
It was. I couldn't complain about that one.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like clearly just him with his lower half buried in dirt or anything.
Right. It looked good.
it looked good.
I mean, I would have preferred to have seen the actual kill go down and seen like Krampus rip a guy in half, which would have been cool.
Now we're just splitting hairs here.
Well, what do you want?
So
I want what you want. A better put together movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
So she sees the Krampus chowing down on his guts. So she runs inside, gets the shotgun, comes out, lets off a few rounds into the Krampus, who's unaffected, and she runs away. Cut back to Tommy and Troy in the bedroom.
Krampus just sits there roaring at her like some kind of like Power Rangers villain.
But you see, they kept cutting off his roar, and I can't help but think maybe he had something to say. Don't know.
Don't censor the Krampus.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like maybe he was like gonna tell him why he was upset.
Yeah,
or
he's the star of the show. Somebody ought to pay attention.
Anything, or like even just say, I'm gonna kill you, or something.
Yeah. We couldn't even get some cheesy Christmas themed one liners from him. You better watch out.
If they were just a roar that would cut in the middle of his roar.
If they weren't referring to him as Krampus, you would never know he was Krampus.
No, there's like it's a random demon.
There is nothing about the Krampus figure in this movie.
We cut back to Tommy and Troy in the bedroom, and the rock starts glowing again, so you know he's getting close. Dale and Will are still getting drunk in the kitchen when Bonnie shows up banging on the door, frantic. She comes in, she wants to call the police station, so she calls 911. And while she's on the phone with Fran, the dispatcher, she tells... Okay, this is where I got confused. Because she gives her an address, and then Fran relays that to Dan, and Dan goes to Bonnie's house. So did she go to someone else's house in trouble, call 911, and then give the address of where she came from?
Yes, that's exactly what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was letting them know where the guy got attacked.
Yeah, where the shit went down.
But that's not where they need help.
Well, she doesn't know there. She doesn't know that the Krampus is coming after him.
It doesn't matter anyway, because these are the most uninterested people in hearing that a creature killed somebody.
Yeah, they're like, what?
Like, nobody cares. It's just like, use the phone. You already ruined dinner. But I guarantee you, somebody breaks into the middle of my Christmas dinner and says, a creature just attacked my boyfriend. I'd be like, what? Let me see that. But
let me see that.
Well, what did he do? Did he do something cool?
Yeah, exactly.
Like ripped him in half. Holy shit.
Did you see him rip him in half, or you just saw the aftermath? Oh, no, I didn't see it happen. Shit.
That's disappointing. So,
I think she also reveals, does she not say that her name is Bonnie Tyler?
Her name is Bonnie Tyler, for God's sake.
Why would you, what does Total Eclipse of the Heart have to do with any of this?
It was a pointless name drop. They needed to take some lessons from Ginger Dead Man with naming your characters.
Seriously.
Have a point.
Is it wrong that I had no clue who Bonnie Tyler was? Like, I know the song, I just didn't know who sung it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll forgive you this time. So, dispatch calls Dan, and there's no procedure here. Just let's not believe him. I wasn't going to call him back up because, screw these people. So she gives the details to Dan, and he's like, oh, I know who that is. He's off to the rescue. Meanwhile, Dale, Will, and David go out searching, as you do in these movies. And they find some cow tracks, and Dale's like, have you ever seen two-legged cow tracks?
You big dummy?
There's a roar, and the Krampus appears and just swats Will's arm right off of his body.
God damn, does it pop off right here?
I wasn't expecting Will to die.
No.
Being the father of, the boy who's... There was a point like I'm not putting it past him to kill Tommy too.
Well, as soon as he was dead, I was like, shit, everybody's gonna die.
Yeah,
like
it swats Will's arm off, and then slashes Dale up the guts, spilling him out,
spilling that Kepner boy out all over the dock.
David runs away because he's David. Back to the house, and his bedside manner is non-existent because he just comes in and says, "They're dead. They've been ripped to shreds. So deal with it, little boy."
We gotta get the fuck
to
out
shreds,
of here.
You say? Well, how'd Grandpa do? To shreds, you say? So yeah, and the family just doesn't react to this news. Dad's dead. Oh, shucks.
Yeah. Nobody even cares.
No.
And then, the chick on the phone says, well, 2 more people have gone missing. No, they didn't go missing.
He just told you.
Yeah.
Well, Fran on dispatch assures them that help is on the... See, again, she assures them that help's on the way, but it's not, because he's going to Bonnie's house. Yeah.
Who gives a shit at this point?
So Dan shows up at Bonnie's house and finds James's corpse, and first he calls in for body cleanup to come get the corpse. And then he says, oh, we might need some backup too, maybe. But, don't you know anything? Policemen don't work on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It's anarchy out there on Christmas Eve.
There's nobody around.
Might as well be the goddamn purge on Christmas Eve, because nobody cares.
Yeah. One cop per county. That's all you get.
That's Christmas, for Christ's sake.
Grandma... Okay, and then Grandma, Amber, and Tommy go out looking like idiots.
Well, yeah, Grandma lost her shit. She's like not gonna leave without her husband and stuff. Even though homeboy just told you he got his body ripped off by some monster.
You want to take some Walmart bags to pick up all the pieces later?
David goes and finds Troy in the bedroom, and Troy's disconnected from the world. Finally does some parenting, tells him to move his ass. Troy decides
I like how he also lectured him on, like, him being on the phone and being disconnected. Like, there's a creature trying to kill people, you're gonna give the asshole a lecture about something?
Family members are dead, but god damn it, stop using up all the data plan. You think they got Wi-Fi out here? You're roaming, asshole.
You're roaming.
So, as Troy's leaving, he sees the stone glowing in Tommy's bag. So, cut back out to Grandma, and holy shit, Grandma gets her head swatted off.
Jesus Christ.
And it just happens. Cuts to Grandma, she turns around, whack.
Blammo.
No more head.
Gone.
So
this was like the swamp ape head knock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just pops off like a Lego man head. So back in the house, David's wanting to take off. He says he tells Fiona that don't worry, you're gonna come with us. But Fiona says, well, the police said to stay in the house, so we should stay in the house. And then everybody else decides, nah, fuck that. Troy comes out. He's got the stone. He's taking it with him. Amber and Tommy back outside find Will's corpse. And another holy shit moment as the Krampus appears and forces Tommy to watch his mother get her intestines ripped out of her.
Yeah.
The kid learned some hard lessons today.
Shit. So she screams out to him to run in her dying breaths as she's, gutted in front of him. And he takes off. Back at the house, David's packing up the family in the car, and then Tommy comes running up. says that, well, Mom and Grandma are dead. Let's not show any emotion over this either.
Nope. Get your ass in the car.
No need to get worked up about it now.
But see, Field Freak, we're already on like 8 kills by now. Yeah, none.
Nobody died in that movie. They all get in the car and drive off. And then David himself has a little bit of a lead foot problem.
Yeah, he does.
They start going too fast. And the mother, Viv, is just on his case about it. And he says, if you don't get off my case, we are going to get in an accident. Well, you shouldn't have said that, David.
Yeah.
Because they run off the road and slam into a barricade.
And then it's like what happened is what every man wishes would happen every time his mom, not his mom, his wife tries to be a backseat driver. Like
she dies? What the hell are you saying?
It really bothers me whenever you tell me I'm going too fast.
Oh.
There's no steering wheel on that side of the car. There are no pedals on that side of the car. You need to sit there and enjoy the fucking ride.
Or else I'm going to kill everybody in this motherfucker.
I'll take this whole car with me.
You can't tell me you haven't been in a car full of people telling you how to drive and you just want to pull a fucking happening and run into a tree. Show these assholes what's going on.
Oh my god.
The theme so far of this show is that Blake will straight up kill you just to spite. You better not say shit.
I'm a weird guy, John. How long? I mean, it took you this long to realize it?
So, after the crash, they all come to and proceed to have an entire conversation, even though Mom's dead in the front seat.
Mom should have kept her mouth shut in the first place.
They're all making They're all making wisecracks and shit. And so they all slowly get out of the car, and only David and Troy are left in there. And then he reaches over and jostles Viv, and she flops over and her head's caved in. So then Troy gets pissed off and starts, he gets his dad up against the car and like, you did this, you killed her, and he punches him one. I'm like, okay, don't make me start liking Troy now.
Yeah.
for kicking David's ass. Mm-mm. So while this is playing out, Krampus just comes strolling up the street with a...
Hey, there you guys are.
Having car trouble, are we?
I brought the jumper cables from the house.
Yeah. With a skip in his step and a tune in his...
a tune in his heart.
Yeah, he's just fancy meeting you fellers here.
And so they're going to this argument where David's telling me, go, I'm going to stay back. I'll buy you time. And like, what are you, crazy? You can't stay here. That thing could... And he's just, meanwhile, Krampus is right there in the background, just, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you.
Real quick, is Krampus wearing clothing? Or
he's wearing clothes.
Yeah, it's clothes.
Yeah, he's wearing like rags. Now, he might be wearing rags because they didn't have the money for a full Krampus suit. They just had the head and the arms, so they put some rags on him. But,
or could have been, it was supposed, like you said, it could have been a Bigfoot suit, but they decided to put rags over it.
We gotta make him not so obviously Bigfoot.
That big naked chest with nipples on it and stuff.
Yeah.
That ape chest.
We gotta cover that up.
So, David finally convinces everyone to leave him behind. He gets the measliest tire iron out the back of the car and squares up against Krampus, and it doesn't last long because Krampus gets him in like a full Nelson and snaps his arm off and then pulls his head off of him, which again, nice job.
No, I like that. I really did like that.
by the chin, just pulls his head off.
Pulls his head clean off.
I can honestly say I've never seen that.
I saw I was comparing it to Hatchet. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the first Hatchet.
No.
He gets a lady, puts his hands in her mouth and pulls her head back. That.
You know who did that kill? The Mountain.
Oh,
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He ripped that sparrow's head off.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's right, but they didn't show it. They didn't show it like in Hatchet though.
Yeah, come on, Game of Thrones. Have the balls to show this stuff.
Yeah,
Krampus did it.
Yeah.
So after that happens, Dan shows up at Grandma's house. This guy is 6 time zones behind his own ass. He's there. He's upset because nobody's coming for backup. And then Fran's like, well, it's Christmas Eve. What do you expect? Cops don't work.
Nope.
The surviving family members are heading to Old Man Coop's place. And they show up. It's a trailer. Coop comes out and they ask for his truck, but my truck don't work. Nothing works in this here town.
Don't ask to use the bathroom either.
So Coop says that he's seen this evil moon that's out tonight before. He makes them all come in and he tells them the tale of Krampus. And it turns out that old Coop was one of the prospector men from the opening scene.
And this is where everything falls apart.
Do some math, and I
was confused. Not by his age, but he points to one of the boys. I don't know which one, but he says, I was about your age when it happened. And they show a flashback, and he's like 40 fucking years old.
Yeah. This was clear. It really seemed like this was, what if Coop was one of those guys? Well, didn't we set that in like the 1800s?
No, it could just be the 70s.
They were hipsters all along.
Oh my God. So he tells the tale about how they found the stone, and that whole scene plays out again in case you forgot about it. Then Coop takes out his Krampus for Dummies book, and
it's handy dandy Krampus guide.
He tells him, the way you stop Krampus is with the elements, and fire brings him about. So earth and water stamp him out. So you got to bury him. To which led me to believe, okay, so in the beginning, the fire touches the stone, which spawns Krampus. He kills a bunch of them. Then that guy drops the stone in the water, which made Krampus go away.
Well, he also said that he also has to quench his bloodthirst.
Yeah.
So you could just let him kill it out.
Yeah.
Let him kill it out.
Yeah, so I think in that case he was just like, well, that was enough blood, I think.
Yeah, I'm done. So they make a plan that we'll use the nearby mine. We'll lure him in there and we'll blow it up and things will work out. The stone starts glowing, so they all head out to the mine. And they get like a foot into the mine, and Troy just can't hack it. So they leave his ass behind.
Oh my God, Troy.
As they should.
Krampus is coming.
He knows there's a goddamn monster chasing him. He's like, ugh, running is lame.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They leave him behind. Dan finds David's body parts in the road. And Fran, back up now. It's not coming, Dan. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So, back at the mine, Coop finds the spot to lay the trap. He starts spinning up the dynamite up in the rafters. Krampus enters the mine and chases Troy down into it. Troy runs into the room where they all are and tells them that it's coming. Coop rushes them all out and lights the dynamite just as the Krampus jumps in and knocks him to the ground and starts beating on him. And he lets out his, "I'll see you in hell, demon." And then the Krampus does a double take at the dynamite.
It's like, boing!
And the dynamite blows up, blowing up the room and collapsing on the Krampus.
It was they used like 3 sticks of dynamite. He only put up 1 charge on 1 rafter.
Yeah. It's an old rickety
mine.
Brought
the whole thing down on him. Super easy.
So the next morning, Dan is just standing by the roadside, apparently given up on the whole venture. He's just staring off into the distance when suddenly Bonnie, Tommy, and Fiona emerge. And so he and his one backup unit that apparently showed up, the only other cop in the movie, go running up to them.
He also, on the way out, he yells them, like, call for backup or something. And the other guy's like, nope.
Dude, I'm
and
in.
just follows him.
So they get up, he gets up to all of them, and he asks them if they're all right, and is there anybody else hurt? And then Tommy says, Troy's still up there. And they all say, oh, well, we don't like Troy, so let's just leave.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's fine.
They just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still somebody up there. That's all the way up there.
Yeah.
We've already been looking for you assholes all night.
Yeah. So they leave. Later, this is where this movie. Later, we see Troy, and he's wandering the desert, holding his phone up, trying to get a signal. And he sees some ragged clothing scraps on the ground in a trail. So he follows them. And then he's attacked by a little baby thing.
I have to say, that part scared the fuck out of me. I've said it before, I'm a very jumpy person, and I was not expecting that. It scared the shit out of me.
Okay, well, okay, movie, you succeeded in a jump scare, but what the fuck was that?
Oh, well, the credits tell you.
Oh, did they? I didn't go that far into
it's
it.
Baby Krampus as himself.
Yeah.
Get the
Introducing
fuck
Baby
here.
Krampus. But I have no idea what that means. Where did he come from?
Okay.
Is there a sequel? Is there a Baby Krampus Unleashed?
How was he conceived?
How was that a baby
born?
Krampus?
Dude.
Oh my god.
That thing just...
Okay. So here was my theory about how this movie was going to play out. Okay, in the beginning, there's the prospectors. They're all fighting over the stone at the same time, and they're all, in the little scrum. So when they drop the stone in the fire, they all did it. So they all summoned Krampus except for Coop, because he wasn't in the scuffle. So the Krampus killed all of them and not Coop, which is why Coop's still alive, and the Krampus went away, because it killed all the people that summoned him. Yeah. So now, the only person that summoned him was Troy. So it was trying to kill Troy the whole time. So everybody in the way was just collateral damage in the Krampus trying to get to Troy, because he's the one who summoned him. Now, why in the end here couldn't they have had Troy just wandering the desert, and then the Krampus halfway comes out of the ground and grabs him and kills him, and then it sinks back into the ground? It's mission complete.
Because that
would that not have been a way better?
Yeah, for sure. Dude,
the story, baby fucking Krampus.
There is no story. There's no story to this movie. They just keep introducing characters that they can kill later, that we don't need. They, why didn't we see Coop earlier in the movie? And he's some kind of kook who's been following stories about Krampus ever since then, or something. Instead of just showing up on the one random guy's doorstep who happened to have encountered the Krampus before. So much bullshit in this movie, man.
Who is apparently, 190 years old.
Right. Yeah, he fought in the Civil War, apparently.
Yeah.
He's Wolverine.
Yeah,
Oh my
that
God.
was so frustrating. There was no story. They got like none of the rules for Krampus made any sense.
Like I said, even if it cut off the baby Krampus at the end, I wouldn't be as upset about it as I am. Because, like I said, the effects I was on board with. I liked a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie wasn't structured well, but I mean, what do you expect with the things that we watch? But to shoehorn in a baby Krampus for no reason,
I don't know.
That thing was fucking terrifying.
I don't know if it was you guys I was talking with, but I was talking about how a lot of movies like this try to build themselves as horror comedies. So if they're not successful horror movies, like they
can fall back on. Oh yeah, we were supposed to be funny.
A comedy, yeah. I'm wondering, maybe the baby Krampus is like, man, this movie is not funny at all, and it's certainly not scary. We gotta put in something funny.
Maybe my knee-jerk reaction was that it was a chupacabra.
My knee-jerk reaction was I need to change my fucking drawer.
Oh my God.
Man. I immediately started praying to John Wayne to save me.
But then, and then they knew that it didn't make any sense and that nobody would be able to glean that it's baby Krampus, so they had to put his ass in the credits.
I know.
As himself, apparently.
Well, in the cast credits. Baby Krampus.
Yeah, they had a picture of him and everything.
Yeah.
But later on in the credits, while I was trying to find out who sung the stupid song in the beginning, it lists all the cast again, and it says Baby Krampus as himself.
I didn't see that.
What the fuck?
I mean, I skimmed through the credits just to see if there was a stinger. I was sure there wouldn't be because that was clearly the stinger.
Right.
Yeah.
But
as soon as I realized how bad that song was, I was like, man, I gotta get to the bottom of this.
Me and you were on the same page.
Yeah.
Music by freemusic.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's done. We got to get to the quiz now.
Yeah, I'm ready to lose the quiz.
Dude, I took jack shit for notes, man. You might be just fine.
So, as we left our first week of Chestnuts Roasting on a Dumpster Fire, John's got 4 points and Blake has 2. So, not a huge lead. Blake can come back if he applies himself and doesn't give up immediately.
I'm already over it.
Okay, so here we go. 5 questions. Question number 1. In the beginning of the movie, the prospectors that are digging the hole where they find the summoning stone, how many holes do they say they've already dug that night? Question number 2. In Grandma and Grandpa's house, they go into a lengthy conversation about the plastic cougar taxidermy on the wall. What are the other 2 animals on the wall? Question number 3. How far does David claim they made it on 1 tank of gas of their hybrid car?
Oh.
Question number 4. What street is the sheriff's station on?
Oh. Yikes.
And the final question. According to Coop's Krampus for Dummies book, other than St. Nicholas, who was the other person that was able to control Krampus? And that's that.
Oh, man.
I only knew one of them. I'm guessing for the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. So, question number 1. How many holes had they already dug that night?
I said 3.
I also said 3.
It was 5.
Oh, I was going to say 5. Oh, shit. God.
No points so far. Question number 2. Other than the cougar, what were the other 2 animals taxidermied on the wall?
A bear and a deer.
Yeah. Exact answer.
A bear and a deer.
There's actually 2 deer.
There's 2 deer. Yeah, but it was just variety of animals.
I paid attention to the wall of death.
Yeah. How many miles did David's car get on 1 tank of gas?
I said 400.
600.
600 miles.
You fucking rat bastard.
Question number 4. What street is the sheriff's station on?
I said Willow Street.
Beaver Street.
Blake was closest because he said a type of tree. It was Pine Street. And question number 5. Other than St. Nicholas, who was the other person that was able to control the Krampus?
I said Willow again.
The devil? I don't know.
Nope. I can't believe neither one of you caught this. Cleopatra.
Oh, they did say that. Yeah. Oh, well.
Man.
So it's 6-3 now. Still anybody's game.
It can still happen.
Nothing's been sealed yet.
No.
Whew, I'm just really happy that I got any, honestly.
I should have said 5. I changed that answer 3 times.
My notes ended somewhere around the point where David was complaining about the room of death. And then
you just stopped taking notes.
Yeah, I did. Well, I was running out of time and stuff. My very last note is I've completely forgotten this is a Krampus movie.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm anxious to hear what we're doing next.
My friend.
Oh yeah, Chase was teasing us.
Are we doing a movie next? I gotta say. You have no idea. So, I figured let's take a little detour from the trash that we usually watch, and let's watch something with a little bit of class. You know, it's the holiday season. Let's watch something classy. So,
right?
Why not? You know, I don't know, the Nutcracker Ballet. That's classy, right?
Sure.
That's something everybody likes.
Yeah.
Well, how would you guys like to watch a steampunk retelling of the famous Nutcracker Ballet, but with strong parallels to Nazi Germany and the Holocaust?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, God, what have you done?
So we will be watching one of the top 50 biggest box office bombs in cinematic history, with a mind-boggling $90 million budget.
Cool.
And it only grossed domestically $190,000.
Somebody got fired.
Worldwide, it only made $16 million back of $90 million.
Jesus Christ.
We will be watching The Nutcracker in 3D, aka Chase's Revenge. Made in 2010 with a 4.4 on IMDb, 3.5 on Amazon. It's not shabby on Amazon, but it's very divided on Amazon. 18 on Metacritic, and since its debut has held a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh my God.
Directed by Andrei let me make sure I say this right, Konchalovsky, who is a legitimate director. He directed award-winning The Lion in Winter with Glenn Close, Tango and Cash, Runaway Train with Jon Voight, the 97 TV series of The Odyssey that I'm pretty sure we all had to watch in high school at some point. It stars Nathan Lane, Elle Fanning, John Turturro as the Rat King. It's got people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't sounding so bad.
Everything, all the parts of this movie should have equaled Blockbuster, but it did not happen that way. So here's the synopsis. 1920s Vienna. 9-year-old Mary, played by Elle Fanning, lives in a home filled with lovely things and loneliness. Bothered by a bratty brother Max and neglected by well-intentioned but distracted parents, she yearns for companionship and adventure. On Christmas Eve, Mary's beloved Albert Einstein, played by Nathan Lane, arrives with the gift of a wooden nutcracker doll. Later that night, Mary's imagination brings the doll to life. Introducing himself as NC, he takes her on a wondrous journey through a stunning dimension where toys assume human form and everything appears 10 times larger. But danger lurks. An army of toothy rat creatures led by the flamboyant Rat King, played by John Turturro, and his devious mother has unleashed a plot to overthrow humanity. When NC is captured and placed under a paralytic spell, Mary, Max, and a spirited band of toy sidekicks must rescue him from the Rat King's clutches and thwart his wicked plans to ratify the world. With a staggering 1 hour and 50-minute runtime.
Oh, come on.
It is the official longest movie we've ever watched on Garbage Theater. I've gone over the budget already, all that stuff. It was a British-Hungarian production, also known as The Nutcracker, The Untold Story. This was a dream project of the director for over 20 years. He dreamed of making this movie come to life, and it failed miserably. It doesn't credit the original Nutcracker and the Mouse King story, nor the author that wrote it.
Who does he think he is?
There's no ballet in the movie, but you can bet your ass there's musical numbers, including one by Nathan Lane about the theory of relativity, and a jazzy musical number by John Turturro's Rat King, where he electrocutes a great white shark to death.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Christ.
Chase, this is just a dream you had.
I know.
Reviews. Not destined to become a holiday family classic. Don't run. Flee from this movie. This movie isn't for kids or anyone. Speaking of the literal devil, we have the Nutcracker in 3D. And my final, most famous review of this movie: from what dark night of the soul emerged the wretched idea for the Nutcracker in 3D? Roger Ebert.
Oh, my God.
Jeez. Keep coming back from beyond the grave to warn us about this thing.
Unanimously panned by all critics by making the Rat King's army Nazis just tasteless. There's scenes ripped right out of Schindler's List in this thing.
Oh, man.
And again, we're
going to have a really uncomfortable discussion, aren't we? All I hear is I'm going to be one censored Krampus.
Yeah. So, yeah. When we're sitting here and the score's 6-3, this is kind of a pivotal movie here.
I must consume everything in this movie.
So there's a reason we're watching this one tonight, this week. So this is my comeuppance for losing the season. This is where I get to have a little fun.
Well, it sounds like a nightmare.
Almost 2 hours.
God.
Yep.
I was like barely able to do this 1 hour and 20-minute Krampus thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to eat this elephant one bite at a time and just like do 10 minutes a day or something.
Yeah, you might want to start watching this thing tomorrow.
Yeah. What format? Where are we watching it? Amazon?
It is on YouTube.
Oh, it is.
Of course it is.
It's a very high quality version of it, though. I'll give you that. So yeah, that'll be part 3.
So I guess I can't watch it in 3D as it was intended then.
Unfortunately not. I couldn't find any evidence that it was actually released in 3D in the first place.
Oh my god.
So
when did you say it came out?
2010. Yeah, 2010. Not super long ago. Do you remember hearing anything about this movie ever?
I feel like something's gonna come back to me once I see the trailer. Yeah. But yeah, that predates the 3D trend for sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, it has all the parts of what should have equaled a hit holiday movie. And fate just didn't pan out that way. Don't shoehorn Nazis into a movie that has no business having Nazis in it.
Not a great idea. Generally, as a rule, I think you should just keep Nazis out of most stuff.
Yeah. Usually adding Nazis into something does not work well for anything.
There it is. Enjoy, everybody.
I got Girl Scout cookies, but they're served by Nazis. No.
On that note, I'll go ahead and go on to my little spiel here. I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening. Hopefully you've been enjoying our special holiday month so far. If you would like, you can leave us a review on iTunes. We would very much appreciate that. While you're there, you can subscribe and get all our latest episodes the second they go live. You can follow us on Facebook at garbagetheater.com, at facebook.com/garbagetheater. You can follow us on Twitter at garbage_theater and on Instagram at garbage_theater. You can suggest movies to us, reach out to us at any of those social formats, or you can email us at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Any last words, gentlemen, on Krampus or Nutcracker Nazis?
Just a good old fuck you, that's all.
Not looking forward to this one.
Nope. You shouldn't be. So, on that note, we'll see you next time, folks.